Hello traders, Lance Ippolito here, and I put the webcam up to get a little bit of visual. So let's get into what's happening in the markets in the first trading day of the year, Tuesday of 2018. So the number one thing I always like to look at when I analyze charts is always looking at the large time frames first and then zoom into. So normally I'll look at a weekly, then daily, then usually like an hourly, and then 15, 5, stuff like that, depending if I'm day trading or swing trading on my time frames. So first, right here I have a chart of the Dow Jones average. Normally when the Fed raises rates like they're going to this year, large caps outperform small caps. Now when I look at small caps, I always like to look at the IWC, which is actually micro caps. It's a micro cap ETF. And then I'll draw down into the Russell 2000. And then go from there. So the number one thing I want to look at is the Dow today. Let's actually go to the daily just because I tend to like the daily better. The Dow Jones is still up about 0.25%, but lagging the other indexes, specifically the NASDAQ, which is raging. So we have a rotation into high beta names and out of your Dow names. And also, too, if you ever want to look up what makes up the Dow or the certain ETF or sector, I always go to the heat map and say, all right, well, what's moving? Why is the Dow lagging? We have financials over here lagging. Your big energy, Chevron, Exxon, doing great. Disney, actually GE, look at that. And Apple doing quite well. Mostly financials kind of lagging here. They're in the Dow. So we have the Dow, we have the sell-off last Friday, the last day trading day of the year. Now bouncing back only 0.25%, but nothing really outrageous, at least in my book. And then when I go to the micro caps, which is the IWC, today we do have an influx of volume, massive volume there. And then we look at the Russell 2000, which normally makes up regional financials. Having a good day, but not great compared to the Qs, which the NASDAQ, which makes up a lot of big tech and biotech, which are doing quite well today. Tech has been consolidating, as we see here from the Qs. Slightly bearish, and semiconductors, biotechs, they're all breaking out today to the upside. It looks like rotation and money wants to go into these attractive names like a Micron for semis, a Facebook, a Google for some of the larger tech names out there in the Qs, and also some biotechs like XBI and the IBB, which are all breaking out to the upside today. So that's all bullish and everything like that. The one thing that is concerning me, and let me just get into this here, besides the hot stocks, which have been hot, is the NYSE tick. I go into detail on the ticks and I follow them every day on a 5 to 15 minute chart. Positive 800 is very bullish, negative 800 is very bearish. Actually, I have a course on this too if you ever want to learn how to follow the ticks intraday or use it for day trading the S&P or the SPY. It's very helpful. But we're opening up in the NYSE tick, very positive. You see 1100, very bullish, and then we fade. We seem to be fading nearly every day. In the afternoon, we're having a sell-off, and we could compare this to, let's say, a chart of the S&P, for example. Chart, take time and sales, and we could see pretty much, here we are, we pop higher, we rally, then we do nothing as the ticks go pretty much flat on the day. So we had a negative 750 tick, which is pretty bearish. A negative 800 indicates institutional selling, but we're not seeing positive 800 ticks aggressively indicating institutional buying. This is why I'm pretty cautious right here of the markets. We're not seeing that aggressive institutional buying, and that's concerning to me, and it's been this way for, here's a 5-day review. We haven't seen any positive 800 ticks, so just something to keep in the back of your head. The advanced decline line, or the ADD2, gapping up and then fading, that's bearish in my view too. Now let's get into something that is moving. So we have the Bitcoin, as I like to call it, actually moving pretty wild at the moment. Just a normal $1,500 influx of the Bitcoin futures. But we have Bitcoin off the highs, right? I'm sure everyone's aware of that now. So I think what's happening is we're having people who lost money or just fed up with the whole Bitcoin craze and stuff, and they're going into pot stocks or weed stocks or cannabis stocks. Now, you could say, well, Lance, California had a vote, that's why the pot stocks are up. But besides that, and also to anticipation of the vote, they usually rally. These names have been getting under accumulation since November, and maybe they're foreshadowing the vote with California. But what I think is happening is you're having the people who have this money now. So if I have, all this new money, I'm going to use this rock, for example. I have all this money, I put it into cryptos or Bitcoin, and now my rock falls, I lose my money, I get burned. Let's say I bought Litecoin or Bitcoin at near the highs and I'm down 25, 30%. I'm going to say, look, screw this. This is not working out. And what do? I still have money in an account or a brokerage account. So I use that money, and what's the next thing that retail traders do? They go after cheap penny stocks, and they say, oh wow, look at all these weed stocks. They're moving. They're pretty volatile. They're up a lot. They start putting their money into these cannabis names. Something like General Cannabis, XXII MJNA is another one, medical marijuana. You can see some of these names are up 10% today. Some of these names have doubled in the past week or two. And then there's the medical, or I should say not medical, there's the ETF Harvest, or I call it the weed ETF MJX. But these names are starting to move very, very nicely. I just want everyone to keep aware of it. I don't think it's a 1 to 2 day rotation. This is a new ETF, that's why it's looking like this. But even your names with options, like a name like Cara, this is actually a stock that trades and has some decent options. Zenerbia Pharmaceuticals, these names are all off the lows. And then your big stock, GW Pharma, right there. It's a legit, I believe, British cannabis company out there. So keep an open mind about the markets here at new highs. The pot stocks are moving, they're volatile. If that's your thing, they are seeing quite the influx of volume, and it looks like capital into the new year. Everything else, the steel names I really like, XMEs, the metals and mining ETF, usually gold and gold miners outperform, and then a lot of steel names like Letter X, Steel Dynamics, and Nucor all breaking out to the upside today. That's what I'm looking more into, rather than trying to chase after a Facebook or a Microsoft or an Apple up here. These are names that I feel like they're easy to track. The insiders have a lot of January calls still sitting open interest in Letter X, Steel Dynamics, Nucors. That's what I see right now. Energy obviously catching a nice bid. XLE breaking out today again to the upside. I know in the members section I got into Valet, and those calls have nearly doubled in a matter of a week. So trading's good. I just don't want everyone to get, it's a new year, I got to pour money into the market. Watch that NYSE tick. When you start seeing aggressive, positive 800 ticks or so, that indicates bullish buying. And just follow them on a 15 or 5 minute intraday chart to keep gauge of what the market's doing. Thanks, everyone.